Cara Alexander, a 47-year-old mother from Dagenham, East London, has been sentenced to life imprisonment for drowning her two young sons in a bathtub before tucking them into bed for their father to discover. The horrific crime, committed in December 2022, shocked the nation and raised urgent questions about the dangers of super-strength cannabis and its potential to trigger mental health crises. Alexander was found guilty of murdering 5-year-old Marley Thomas and 2-year-old Elijah Thomas after a trial at Kingston Crown Court. The judge, Mr. Justice Benathan, condemned her actions as a shocking abuse of trust and emphasized the role of heavy cannabis use in destabilizing her mental state. The case serves as a grim warning about the devastating consequences of drug-induced psychosis. The tragic discovery, Selvin Thomas, the boy's father, arrived at the family home after growing concerned about the lack of communication from Alexander. The couple had separated just 3 months earlier, and Thomas was due to spend the weekend with his sons. When he knocked on the door, Alexander, wearing a hoodie, claimed the boys were asleep upstairs before abruptly slamming the door shut. Determined to see his children, Thomas forced his way inside and made a horrifying discovery. The boys lay lifeless in their bunk beds, tucked in as if asleep but cold and stiff to the touch. Overcome with grief and rage, Thomas screamed at Alexander, who had already fled the scene. Prosecutors later revealed that she had placed toys behind the door, seemingly in an attempt to barricade herself inside. The cause of death was confirmed as drowning or suffocation, though the exact method remains unclear. Thomas described the moment as the stuff of nightmares, a trauma that would haunt him for the rest of his life. A chilling lack of remorse during the trial, Alexander claimed the boys' deaths were accidental, insisting she had left them unattended in the bath while smoking cannabis. However, the jury rejected her defense, deliberating for nearly 7 hours before delivering a unanimous guilty verdict. Prosecutors argued that Alexander's actions were deliberate, pointing to her calculated decision to stage the scene for maximum emotional impact. In a victim impact statement read aloud in court, Selvin Thomas expressed his anguish and disbelief. He described Alexander as a cold-hearted, selfish, and extremely stupid demon who had shown no remorse for her crimes. He also speculated that she may have intended to frame him for the murders, further underscoring the calculated nature of her actions. The judge echoed these sentiments, noting that Alexander's previous history of psychosis, triggered by cannabis use in 2016, should have served as a warning. Despite this, she continued to abuse the drug, with devastating consequences. A warning about cannabis and mental health. Mr. Justice Benathan's sentencing remarks highlighted the dangers of high-potency cannabis, particularly strains like skunk, which can induce severe psychotic episodes. He stressed that drug users must be aware of these risks, especially when caring for vulnerable children. The judge also criticized members of Alexander's social circle, who knew about her heavy cannabis use but failed to intervene. Alexander's case is a tragic example of how substance abuse can unravel even the most seemingly stable individuals. While she had no prior criminal record and was once a loving mother, her descent into drug-induced psychosis led to an irreversible tragedy. The judge acknowledged her previous good character, but emphasized that nothing could justify the murder of 2 innocent children. Summary: Cara Alexander's life sentence, with a minimum term of 21 years, brings a measure of justice for the deaths of Marley and Elijah Thomas. However, the case leaves behind unanswered questions and unimaginable grief for their father, Selvin Thomas. It also serves as a stark reminder of the potential dangers of cannabis, particularly for those with a history of mental health struggles. As the legal process concludes, the tragedy stands as a cautionary tale about the devastating consequences of drug abuse and untreated psychosis.